It's time for Maggie and the Moms. Sponsored by Tampa General Hospital.
I love that song. It gets me in a good mood to get started today. We're talking about AI. It's everywhere. We use it in ways that we may not even realize in our everyday lives. Welcome, everyone, to the Maggie and the Moms podcast. Today, we're talking about AI and children. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? What are the pros? What are the cons? What do we as moms need to know? And I'm so happy to be joined by Desiree Panlilio. She is here. She works with teenagers all the time because she's a teen life coach and she founded Encouraging Kids. Thank you for being here, Desiree.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Kiva Williams, you have one or two teenagers?
Well, I have a preteen.
A preteen, a teen, and a
teenager.
little one.
Yes, exactly.
Kiva Williams, the founder of Mahogany Kids. She's also the Fun Foodie Mama on Instagram. I'm always like living vicariously through your food adventures, as I know my friend Deanna Moore is, because we love food.
Yes.
I love food so much.
Yes.
We love food more than we love our children. I don't know. Some days. Welcome, Deanna. Thank you for being there as always. We're talking AI. All four of us really need to know about this because children are using it more and more in ways that I, for one, am not completely aware of. I don't know the ins and outs of AI, and because it is so unknown to me, and that's on me, I have to educate myself, but hopefully that's what we're going to do here today. I'm scared of it. I'm afraid of how it will harm my children, and I'm not really thinking about, well, what are the many ways in which it can help? So that's what I would like to talk about today, the pros and the cons. Desiree, you work with teenagers all the time. How are they using AI, and what are you hearing from parents about it?
I think a lot like you. Parents are scared, right? They want to know what it is. And the first thing when you say AI, everyone thinks of chapGPT, right? And that's just one tool. There are so many platforms out there. Teenagers love to use it for doing fun things, for doing their homework. And we can talk about homework versus cheating. Where's that line? That's a great topic to have with your teen. I think the other thing is there's AIs out there that can become your teen's friend. So now your teen's isolated. If they are interacting with something or an AI, an algorithm online, they're not interacting with real people, and that's a big concern. And that's a concern parents have, especially parents of teenagers are thinking, what do we do? Is my kid even, we even have that discussion years ago about gaming, right? And putting parameters on that. So now we're going next step. Mm-hmm. There's gaming and now there's AI. So there's we do have to educate ourselves and we have to be on top of it.
I think that's a good place to start since you brought it up. Chatbots. I have been reading all about this. Mm-hmm. And, there was a story about a woman who's suing one of the platforms because her son became very close with a chatbot that encouraged him to commit suicide, which unfortunately he followed through with. Reading a lot about this, I'm finding the vast majority of children and teens who use social media and AI don't report adverse effects. Yeah. However, there definitely is a group that reports feeling very close to these chatbots, these AI-generated quote-unquote people that they really believe are like humans. Yeah. They have human qualities, and they feel they have intelligence in the view of the children, and they have a genuine connection with. And what I think we need to talk to our kids about is saying, these are not real people. You may feel like, oh, it's so easy. There's a hot girl that I can talk to and that likes me and that makes me feel good. That's a conversation worth having.
Yes.
It's an important one because especially kids have such a desperate need in their teen and tween years to feel liked and accepted
This
and connected.
This is the time when they're looking for friends. Yep. And this is the easiest way to find a friend is if you go to somebody who's telling you you're great and relating to all because they're not real. They relate to everything that you like because they're told to relate to everything that you like. To me, AI is scary. I like to try to find the silver linings in things. Yeah. Everything has its pros and its cons, and I think that AI could be the great equalizer for everybody. Young, rich, poor, black, white. But then at the same time, AI could be scary.
Scary. I mean, the chatbot is just one example. Mm-hmm. Like, personally, I can't think of a silver lining to the chatbot scenario. Can you all?
It's scary because my child's a gamer, my oldest. So he's constantly, gaming. And I'm like, are you talking to real people? How can you tell?
And yes. And how do you know?
And I don't think he knows. So that's the thing. It's like, he's 17. So I don't want to be like, you can't do this, because I feel like, once he leaves our house next year, he's going to do it. Yeah. But also, like, just preparing him to, hey, you have to look out for yourself. Like, the people you're talking to, you don't know them in real life.
Right.
So the information you're sharing has to be like basic, nothing too outlandish or something that can incriminate you or just identify who you are in real life, because again, you don't know who you're talking to.
It sounds like you're saying all the right things. I mean, I'm glad that you're having that conversation.
Yeah.
And they may roll their eyes like, oh, I know,
Of
whatever, but I love, because that's what I think we need to do, and in a non-scolding way, like maybe say, hey, look, I don't know a lot about this, but I know that these chat bots are out there. Do you know what they are? Can you explain it to me?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good way to approach it, or research it together, just so that they're aware of all the potential scenarios and dangers associated with that.
And I love how you brought up privacy, right? Because we talk about that with our kids, even outside of chat, anything, sharing your personal information. You don't want your kid putting their personal information on any social media, anywhere. You don't want your kid telling, a stranger where they live, right? So it's that same thing, that whole privacy comes into that chatbot thing. And you're asking for places where maybe chatbot's helpful. What if your kid's really shy and really needs to learn communication skills? Maybe that chatbot would be helpful. If it's a programmed algorithm that gets your kid saying, someone asking them, how do you meet a friend? How do you talk to somebody? So more in that psychology realm, I think it could be really helpful in building confidence in a controlled environment. So not
in a controlled environment.
So it's, letting them practice. You think about,
there you go.
We created these
Never thought about
things.
it that way.
Yeah.
No, that's a
we
good point of
thought
view.
about those ways we get kids to do math, right? All those math drills or something they can do online.
Yeah.
So if kids are really struggling, and I think really neurodivergent kids who really could use help with communication skills, I think there's a way to create that to help them create that whole social ability to talk to people. And I think that's huge. Or people that are just a little awkward. We can all think of that. If we think of high school, we can all remember that awkward kid that we went to school with.
And if you had somebody to practice with where there was no repercussion whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing that you don't get with a chatbot, though, is real life. Because in real life, is that chatbot going to have a fight with you, disagree with you, break up with you?
But could you get
Probably
that?
not.
Or could you program it to? Because that would be a real, wouldn't be a real interaction where
I don't know how far they go, though. They
who
might go
knows?
that far.
They might go that. I wouldn't be surprised, actually.
And chatbots are visual too?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I wonder,
So you
are
look
you able
like
to
a
get
real person.
context clues from a chatbot?
Well, from what I've been reading, you are convinced it's a real person. You are convinced that
scary.
your friend Deanna, I have to meet my friend Deanna on the computer at 3:00, and Deanna's not a real, but can you?
But she looks like Deanna, and she has the whole avatar.
Yeah, she looks like Deanna and
Sounds like her too.
Well, if you see the AI models, which we talked about recently on the show, that Guess used in the latest Vogue magazine, that looks like a real human being.
and they're going to get better and better, right?
And they're going to get better and better. So chatbot is one. Something else I want to talk about, chapGPT and all of those generative AI, as they call them, that kids are using as aids for schoolwork. This one terrifies me because I want my kids to be able to continue using their brains to be problem solvers, to know how to do research, to write papers. I want them to know how to do that. I don't like the idea of something doing it for them. How do we draw the line? How do we navigate that?
It's a tough one. You think about years ago, and it sounds, I feel like I'm dating myself, but a long time ago when we were in school.
The name of the game when you're a mom.
I know, dating herself.
2 years ago, so it was all different. But I know.
So different. But we had, they calculators, right?
Yes,
the kids couldn't use calculator. They couldn't use a scientific calculator until they proved that they could do the proof, proved that they could use the formula. Then you graduate to using it. Somehow, if there is that kind of mechanism, right, that once you prove that you can do it, then maybe you can have it to help you with your homework. My concern is there's that helping with your homework, cheating with your homework, and then when you go to college, they have mechanisms to catch if you're using, these generative tools. But not only that, college, a midterm might be worth 30%, a final's worth 40% or 50%. You have this chapGPT do all your homework that's only worth 10% of your grade. You're still failing the course because you don't know the material. Right?
ChatGPT knows that is a concern with parents. So they actually came up with this thing. I found this out on Bloom, our sister show. They have a homework helper. And my question was, well, isn't that just doing the homework for them? But the homework helper, it's supposed to make them critical think. So it doesn't tell them the answer. It it works on suggestions so that they are actually thinking, and then they come up with their research to do the paper, but it's not doing the paper for them. But I still think, is that dumbing our kids down?
Yes, I wonder. Because, well, but how did we do research when we had to do papers?
We went to the library. We used microfiche.
Oh, yeah.
That's how old we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Went to the library, or if you didn't know how to do something, you had to ask for help. You had to find someone either in your class, a teacher, that knew how to do it and could explain it to you, right? And so if you...
Yeah, and again, there's no interaction when you're just asking your screen.
Right. And so no one can like look at you, and when you're at the screen and it's, I get that it's trying to teach critical thinking, but if you pick A and A is wrong, then B, you pick B, then you're wrong, then C is the right answer. Versus if I'm looking at you and I can see that I'm like, well, what do you think is the next step? And your face is blank as a teenager. You're like, I have no clue because I don't even know how you got to that step.
Right.
It gives that personal interaction that says, wow.
Which technology could never, ever duplicate.
Right. I need to go back to, okay, you didn't even get how I got step 3, so you're not getting to step 4, so we need to go to step 1 and start again.
Yes.
Right. And so it is that opportunity to say it a different way, to teach them have that critical thinking skill and the problem solving skills. And as much as I think, like, I understand the homework concept of ChatGPT, I don't think it's having that face-to-face interaction where you actually see that blank face. And we all know, we all have teenagers, when you ask them to do something and they're not going to do it, or they have no understanding, that blank
you see it in their face.
Yeah.
I struggle because I don't let my son have ChatGPT. And I don't know if I'm hurting him or helping him. I know that he had a friend who was studying for finals and used ChatGPT to say, create a study guide based on this, and studied that way. And my son had to look through the notes from the whole year, the lesson plans, the this, the that. Took my son a whole lot longer. I don't know how the other boy fared in finals, but this was, let's say, specifically the AP exam. My son did very well, but it took him a whole lot longer. That kid, it took him less time and therefore was able to study more for other finals. So I feel like my son didn't study as much for some finals because he spent more time studying for this particular.
We have to adjust as parents. I think back to when I was studying using computers and using online, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you cheating?
Yes.
Are you taking down your sources?" So as technology grows, we have to grow with it. True. And I think everything in moderation, right? You always say that.
Yep.
So maybe we can use ChatGPT, but we have to monitor it to make sure it's being used correctly. And maybe it can help. Like you said, maybe he would be able to move on to the next exam quicker. Do you know how the other kid did, though?
I don't.
But I'm old school, and I feel like what you did was the right thing. I would have did that too, because I feel like kids nowadays in school, they're not learning how to do, like, look for things. Like,
that's true.
Like, even in school, my son's saying the teacher says go online. Like, the teacher isn't like teaching how they used to teach, and I feel like they're missing some of those critical thinking things. Like,
I also don't fully trust. Like, how do I know that what it created is correct? Because ChatGPT takes everything from the internet and puts it in there.
Yeah,
but
it could be wrong.
That's my problem with ChatGPT.
It could be wrong.
I mean, because we all know what's in the internet is not always true, is not always kind, is not always what you want your kids to learn, and so that's what is generating AI.
That's the evil side of AI. The people who are creating AI are flawed human beings who have their own biases and who are dumb.
Yes.
So we are starting to get some dumb, biased people telling our kids everything.
Well, even when you're creating study guides, ChatGPT is going to take all the information that it's had, and if someone's been really focused in the algorithm somewhere else on one section of it, that's what ChatGPT is going to algorithm out that's important. So I think it's a tool. I think help me create a study guide for, my AP English Lit exam. Give me an outline of all the top topics. Okay, now I have the top topics, whatever that is. Now I, as a person, and your son creating those great study skills, problem solving, critical thinking, time, organization, all those other skills he's going to need in life, can go, okay, these are the top 10 subjects. I know this one really well. This one, I don't even know what that is. I don't even think that's a real thing.
Okay.
Or I need to organize, or I need to go in and relearn that. I think it needs to be a tool, not the only thing he used to study.
But just one tool in the kit.
Tool.
I like that, Desiree. You're coming up with a lot of good stuff.
But
And that's
also-
why you're here.
Also, I learned from ChatGPT that you can feed it things. So you could
Yes.
take your study guide that's from
Okay.
the teacher and like upload it and say,
Yep.
from this study guide specifically, give me, an outline or,
Right, exactly. And then
I didn't know that
it's
before.
the tool, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Me
you can
neither. I don't-
upload into stuff into chat,
pictures and yeah.
which I think makes more sense, right? I have, whatever chemistry coming up. This is a study guide the teacher gave me. Can you supplement this study guide with, questions for each subject, right?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden ChatGPT gives you the questions. You can go through and look at them. You can do them as a kid, and you could take them to school and go, hey, and own it with your teacher. ChatGPT helped me augment the study guide you gave me. I don't know
Tell
how to
your
do
teacher?
You have
if it was a study guide,
I think
and
you have
went,
to.
Yeah, if it was a study guide and I'm
And kids
studying,
will do that?
Well, I
Yeah.
think they should. And
Yes.
If they don't, they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
Because there are ways to figure out if you used ChatGPT.
that was
to
going to
write
be
your
my
paper.
next question. Are
Yes.
there?
Yes, there's
Yeah.
all
Yes.
kinds of
Oh,
them.
yeah. I know a kid
tons.
who got caught.
Yeah.
He wrote a paper, and they have these little things. They just run the paper
Yep.
through
In high school, right?
In high school,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
good to
And
know.
he got caught.
Well, good.
But also, people aren't changing the format. Like, they'll take something directly from ChatGPT and
Don't be
paste
given
it,
hacks
and
for
it's-
working the system.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's obvious.
They're going
like,
to find the
take
hacks
the
anyway.
dashes out.
clearly.
You leaving the asterisks in. It's like they're not even trying to like make it their own. They're just taking. I'm just like, that's clearly ChatGPT. We can tell.
Oh
But now, in ChatGPT, everything that it's done goes into the plagiarism system. So in college, it goes into a plagiarism system, and it's after 3 words or 5 words, it comes out in college that it's plagiarism, right? In college, that's a finite. That's a done. That's an F. That's a you're
Yeah.
kicked out of
You're done.
college.
That's expulsion.
That's
It should be
expulsion.
anyway.
It is expulsion. So
Wow.
you want to make sure that if they're doing it, and I'm not saying it's bad. Grammarly was before ChatGPT. We used to
Yeah.
use Grammarly to check your grammar before you handed in.
And
English
that's
test.
AI.
And that's
Yeah.
and
It
It's a
is.
form of AI. Yep.
yeah, but it seemed it was a little more basic, right? And
Yeah.
was that really bad? But yeah, so I think you have to have your own ability to write, your own ability to do stuff, and if you're doing it and you get caught, then you pay the consequences. And I think that's part of the conversation for teenagers.
For sure.
The consequence of what you do.
It bothers me how it decentivizes people from really learning things. Like, I take pride in being really good at grammar. But that's
Yeah.
not special
Nope.
anymore
Nope.
because everybody's good at grammar
People
because
want
they can
quick.
just spell check or grammar check or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, what is the incentive for somebody to really become great at a particular skill that AI can do for you so easily now?
When you're stuck in a meeting, when you're in a meeting, so you're saying grammar, great example, and I can use my oldest daughter. She went into a meeting, a board meeting, and they were talking about something, and this one person was struggling to try and get the sentence out and to be fluent. And my daughter was really big in grammar, and she thought about it. The grammar, which is English, came across clear and concise. I think that's why you still have to be an expert in it, because at some point those critical thinking skills, those problem solving skills, those communication skills, which are all basic skills, are going to come into play in a hot spot, whether it's in a boardroom, whether it's in a meeting when someone's asking you to say something. If you have always relied on ChatGPT to write everything for you, now you're in a meeting, you have to be able to, vocalize what you're trying to say. Yes, and that's important, and that's a skill set that you learn by practicing writing, not having some AI tool write it for you.
I hope so. Do you guys all agree with that?
I do.
Because
And
how do you tell your kids it's really worthwhile for you to spend your time and your energy learning X?
I think we're not giving the school system the benefit of the doubt. I still think that they are educating the way things should be taught. When yes, there are shortcuts, but there are checks and balances, and we're still doing the things that we need to. Remember when you couldn't bring the TI-85 calculator?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So,
But also think
We're working
it's
it out.
okay to have like tools to help like cut the time, because sometimes you get stuck. You're sitting there, you can't think of your first prompt. You need something to just kind of push you, and then it helps you flow. So I mean, it's a tool, not the be all end
I think
all.
that's the takeaway.
Yeah.
I think that schools also should be teaching kids like about AI. Here are the platforms that you can use, that you should use. Here's how this one works, and here's how this is acceptable use for this. This is how it can help you. Because I think that then we as parents wouldn't be as scared of it. If my son were to come home and say, my English teacher, or even when you go back to school night, they explain that to you and say, you're all curious about AI. Here's how I'm implementing it into the curriculum, and here's what I have told students. I feel like I haven't heard that yet.
Unfortunately, the technology works a lot faster than the checks and balances do.
Yes,
And that's like
so fast.
legislation. Like they should be legislating AI, but they can't figure it out quick enough for the new thing is here before we decided
so
to legislate and then figure out how to regulate in our own homes how to do it.
Because isn't ChatGPT kind of old? Like I know we're like doing it now, but like people have been using that for a while.
AI's been around
old,
forever, but how old is ChatGPT?
Gosh, it's been around for a while. I don't know how many.
it has,
And there's so
honestly.
many other. Yeah, it's just kind of probably more common to us, right, in our age group. But there are so many, different types of AI, whether it's generative, whether it's creating avatars. And you're right, it's hard for schools to legislate it. It's hard for them to decide what's good, what's bad. How do we do that? What do we say to parents? And if they endorsed one AI system and something bad happens, where does that liability without legislation leave them?
Exactly.
I don't expect that from schools, but I would like to know, and I'm going to ask at back to school night, is my child allowed to use something like ChatGPT? What is an acceptable use of that? In what application is that acceptable or good? And just, teach me.
Yeah.
And I think that would help.
Does anybody else notice that when you go to Google and now they use AI and AI is the first thing that comes up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
like
they
their
want you to.
choice.
Yeah.
Like if I'm looking up
true.
something, I'm like, I scroll. I'm like, no, AI.
Because you're
that's-
smart.
no.
But
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't think the way you think might be like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that. And yes, that's how they sound.
Yes.
I'll take
Exactly.
I'll take that. Okay, so we as parents, I think if we're scared of something, you got to face your fear.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not bliss in
No.
this case. So I found that I love Common Sense Media. I've always gone to them for movie reviews and TV show reviews and book reviews to see if they're appropriate for kids. I have not gone to them for this, but I read that you can go and read reviews on all the different AI platforms that are out there. If you as a family want to test drive one together, you can go on Common Sense Media. You can say, okay, here's the benefit of this one. Here are the features of that one.
That's a great
Here's
tip.
what it's recommended for. Let's try this. And learn AI as a family. Choose a good starter platform. And don't be scared. Familiarize yourself, and maybe that'll take away the fear, give you the power, instead of giving AI the power.
I love that. That's a great idea to know what it's used for, how to use it, and what is the best way to use it for you and your family, right? It's all of those conversations and communication and building that relationship instead of them not doing it or you forbidding something where they're going to find a way.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that there has been a use where it's really, really valuable to teens that you know and work with?
So I will tell you that I have 3 kids that I help work on their MCAT, and the MCAT's a huge thing, and they use the ChatGPT to create study guides for them.
Okay, so same thing
And
that my friend did.
Yeah, and it was 16, 17 pages, so it wasn't and they went through, but they could go through and go, I know that. Oh, what? Oh, I don't remember this, and they could go back and study. And they scored really well on their MCAT. So it wasn't like the end all and be all that that's all they used, but it was this thing that helped them guide through their studying to go, I mastered this topic. I don't know what that topic is. I need to review this topic. And I think that's important. I think there's a place for it to be able to be a tool, not the solution, but one of the many tools.
What
I
about
like
you?
that.
Are your kids using it at all? Yeah,
I don't think so. Well,
that's another point too. We don't know.
I don't know. Right, exactly. I know my kids play Roblox, so I know there's some type of AI.
There's
in
AI
that.
in everything.
I know.
There is AI
So-
in any toy that's interactive.
Yeah.
That has AI.
Yeah.
In all those apps that we use to filter ourselves on social media, that's AI. I mean, yeah,
The filters?
yeah. That the apps,
Okay.
the ones that change your face and
Yeah.
take away your wrinkles and
CapCut.
CapCut, is it?
That's important.
Facetune.
though.
Yeah, no,
Those are important
Oh
ones.
I'm okay
my
with AI there.
goodness.
No, I'm kidding. Kidding, not kidding. But I mean, let's not be hypocritical. We use AI in so many ways and have
Daily.
been for a long time. My concern and my purpose with this whole episode was just okay, what are the dangers for our children? Let's be aware. Let's talk to them about it. And how can it help them? Because I just feel like it's our responsibility to understand everything and to make sure that we talk to our kids. Because we would hate for something to happen and be like, I never had that conversation. I didn't take the time.
Oh, yeah, that's the biggest fear.
To learn
That's
about
huge.
this. And I failed as a parent because I didn't.
So 2 years ago, your daughter graduated, right?
From high
So
school.
did you feel like having that conversation then, or you feel like this is more
No,
like
man,
a current
2 years
thing?
ago, I didn't even think about AI.
I know.
Yes.
It's
I'm
happening so quickly.
late in the game. I'm now that my son's a sophomore in high school, And because in large part I had that conversation with my friend whose son created the study guide, I'm like, well, maybe I should be embracing AI a little more. So anyway, we are out of time. It flies by.
Wow.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Come back again. Desiree,
Absolutely.
loved all your tips.
My pleasure.
Thanks for
Encouraging
having me.
teens and encouraging moms. That's what she
We need
does.
it.
Thank you all for listening and
Have to do
watching. We'll see you next time on Maggie and the Moms.